has shown the OSDD group is very interested in not only having senior scientists come into the group and contribute in terms of what we have often highlighted as research, but there is an increasing feeling worldwide and including in India, can we include the student community? Now, how do we define the student community? Is it only postgraduate students, students doing PhD? If India is to cross that critical barrier that our country produces in the shortest possible time ahead, not one, but hopefully many Nobel laureates, then the net has to be spread very wide, which means we have to get young students interested in real science as early as possible. It could be as early as they, maybe age 5, maybe the primary school, maybe the middle school. This is not just my feeling, this is a feeling which is being echoed in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in some of the most well-known university structures, say Harvard and so on. Professor Stuart Schreiber has been talking about this. How to involve young students. And this is one of the focus points, even in the OSDD community. Can we bring this work to begin with? OSDD is focusing on one disease, tuberculosis, which has once again made a comeback in the HIV/AIDS era, when there is and there are many forms of tuberculosis which are multi-drug resistant. The first simple drug I have chosen is a currently used anti-tubercular drug, isonic acid. I don't want to make this subject look formidable. There may be some slides which some students may think carry a lot of information and are beyond their comprehension. Please do not carry any such feeling, because this is not an occasion where we put up concepts which are beyond our understanding. We want to get into the spirit of the whole thing. Yeah, isonic acid is a pyridine derivative, a carboxylic acid at position 4, that is isonicotinic acid. When we convert the isonicotinic acid into a hydrazide, isonicotinic acid hydrazide, any undergraduate student can do this synthesis. And we have communicated to the OSDD group laboratory procedures which are currently used even in the industry for that matter, which we can bring to the student community, and students can produce this in large quantities in their particular institution. Make sure that the necessary purity is attained, and the drug can even enter the market after it's been evaluated to be pure and not harmful to the patient in any way. Is this a mere idea? I want to put it up. I have tried this over the last 20-25 years or more in St. Stephen's College, where I have now taught for more than 43 years. I have got sometimes very bright young undergraduate students who are just about 17 or 18 years of age. They would work after the college hours into say 10:30 in the night, carry out one step of the synthesis of a multi-step synthesis, say 3 or 4 step synthesis, produce the product or the first compound from the first reaction step. I remember as early as 1989, we carried out one such synthesis, the first step. The final product was obtained at 10 o'clock in the night after crystallization. In a batch process, that means 3 or 4 students would form a batch. They would produce a certain amount of the compound by the end of the evening or into the night. And there are 10 or 20 such groups of students, so the amount becomes quite substantial. 400 grams of the first step are produced. Can we do this with a simple synthesis of isoniatic acid? We need the nitrile at the 4th position of the pyridine ring as a starting material. It could be bought from the market, or even this could be made in the college or the student laboratory. Following this, this has to be converted into an acid amide where the procedure is available, and as we noticed, this is then in the next step converted into the hydroside. Purify the compound after this 2-step synthesis. Make sure that it is chemically and biologically pure. That means it has no impurities, it does not have any bacterial infection for that matter, and hopefully such a drug can actually enter the market. But the main advantage which I have seen is when students get involved in such work, not in a classroom situation, not just for examinations, for scoring marks, every one of them has got fired with imagination, with excitement, with enthusiasm. I'll tell you, those students who worked with me like this in 1989-90, in the winter months, are all holding very senior positions in top American universities and doing extremely well in science. And most importantly, they are continuing in science. We get so many students who come to science, but they do not want to continue with science because there is no excitement left after a few years, and they have not been able to get on to a certain specific job and get the feeling of having made some achievement as a group. And this teamwork also is very helpful in their understanding how to work together as a team. I'm very happy to see that such a wonderful team, large team by international standards even, exists in Malabar Christian College, MCC for short. They are working round the clock. I understand 365 into 24 into 7. Not only should I congratulate the group leaders, even on Saturdays and Sundays. This is the only way we can produce work. So on a congratulatory note, shall we proceed a little further with this thesis of mine? Yes, as we see, you know, it may suddenly appear that I have moved away from tuberculosis. Is this true? No, no. Let's wait for a moment for me to bring this connection back. What is portrayed in this slide is a magnetic resonance image of a human brain. And you will notice that the fact that this was the case with a certain very well-known figure in India. I'm talking about the very wonderful tennis player from India, Leander Paes. When he was playing with Navratilova in the Wimbledon's final match, in the mixed doubles final match, suddenly he had a splitting headache and he fell into the hands of Navratilova. Fortunately, his father is a doctor. People said, the next day we read that he has possibly got a brain tumor. That means he has to undergo a brain operation. This would have incapacitated him, and maybe he would have never been able to play tennis in his life again. But the father got his son transferred to another hospital in USA, and careful magnetic resonance image studies showed that there was no brain tumor. Instead, there were some small cysts. These cysts had left to the, a certain amount of swelling. The cysts therefore blocked the movement of the fluid in the brain, and therefore he was suffering from these severe headaches. Over 3 months, his father also went to United States, got him treated. In these slides, we are seeing the formation of cysts. If you notice, there is an arrow here, and if you see, whenever there is a narrow space somewhere here, in the next slide, as we will see, you can go on to the next slide. You will see in some of these slides that the passage through which the fluid has to flow gets blocked. As a consequence, there is a cyst here. When it is treated with the drug, the cyst over 3 months disappears. If we can go back to the previous slides. Yes, one more. And if you see the different portions marked by an arrow, clearly there is a cyst. And I hope you can see the next slide again. And these are all magnetic resonance image views. Can you see? It looks like to me a space canal through which ships have to go. This is not a canal. This is the flow of the fluid in the brain. This is not blocked. Over 3 months of treatment with a drug, the cyst subsides. The cyst is caused, I understand, by a disease which is very common in India. Children, particularly among children, while they eat food, often pork, from not very hygienic conditions, insects actually go into the brain. And it's because of the parasite, they are live organisms, live insects or species. The cyst develops. Fortunately, in Leander Pace's case, it was not a tumor. It was treated. Can we go to the next slide and see? This is the molecule which was used in the case of Leander Pace. The name of the molecule is albendazole. What I am proposing is structure as portrayed. Can it be tried as a drug or its derivatives be tested as a drug for treating tuberculosis? We were discussing earlier, there are sites where derivatizations are possible. So all the activity and profile studies that were suggested can be carried out in this compound, and people have already said that this is a potential candidate for the treatment of tuberculosis. If it works out, it's already been tested as a drug for treatment of cysts in the brain, as we saw in the case of Leander Pace. Can this compound, this structure and its modifications, its derivatives, be candidates for treatment of tuberculosis? Let the next year or two tell us, and we get good answers to the question. There has even been a suggestion that we could synthesize in college laboratories in batch process. Again, by batch process I mean in the sense that groups of students, small group of students could synthesize certain intermediates. The others could take that intermediate to the next few steps and then to the final product. India is known to be a very big center for synthesis of chemical intermediates, and India is earning a lot of foreign exchange by the export of such chemical intermediates. Can we bring it down from the industry to the university, to the colleges, where students can get involved in this process? Their actual involvement levels will tremendously increase. We teach this in the BSc course. Synthesis of primaquine involves a few steps. One has to make a certain, amine unit. One has to synthesize a quinoline, the appropriately substituted quinoline, the amine, side chain. In the final step, the two of these are put together to get the anti-malarial. But my focus in the first part of this talk is on anti-tubercular drugs. Can they be produced in where? In the industry? Research laboratories? No. Can it be done by student groups? What if, after they put in their effort, some money as well, it does not work out to be an anti-tubercular drug, we would have produced scientists. Would any of you want to ask me a question of whatever I have said so far? Thus far only I have been talking for the sake of involvement, to understand, are you with me? Am I with you? Or is it that what I have said has not actually been carried home to you?